Hello, Heart Mind friends and fans. I'm back for a solo episode this week. This is episode 22 of my podcast, and I'm so glad to have you. I have my cuppa. Grab yours if you can, and let's sit down and talk about the 5 signs that you are healing your nervous system. And when I talk about the nervous system and in yoga, what I believe yoga is saying about the nervous system is that the master and the regulator of that system is actually our respiratory cardiovascular system. And those two systems right here in our chest are the center and the important regulator of our mind. But let's talk about 5 signs that you are healing this system of yours. So, have you ever felt like you are backsliding, or that when you start doing some of this work, you actually feel worse and you don't know, maybe you're doing more damage? It can seem that way sometimes. One of the things that we meet when we start coming into this healing too is that I should be beyond this by now, or I should be past this by now. I want to be healed by now. Why am I not? Every single person I've ever worked with, every single person, including me, that I know that has been on this healing journey, questions that. And it's put there. It's almost like it's part of just stop, ask this question for a moment. What's there? And what do you have to gain in order to get through that hurdle? And one of the things you got to gain is big trust. And that trust of walking a step forward. But the other thing you're gaining is insight and awareness on your own resistance of the process. What is happening is with our nervous system is it's a thawing out. Often when we experience trauma or when we're just in survival mode, it could be little micro traumas, again, just as simple as being financially unstable. That's not that simple, but it can be that we start to freeze or start to fight. And in the fight, there's something else. Usually we're freezing in order to fight, or that fleeing. And usually, again, in order to flee, there's something that we're kind of leaving and freezing behind. And so the thawing out is, imagine that there's something that has been just stopped, a growth process or a way of you being that has stopped and frozen in time. It's like an iceberg. And it takes time for that iceberg to melt and thaw out and incorporate back into the whole, that flow, that energy. So it's like the iceberg going back into the ocean. And you only can do it a little bit at a time. What's happening in our nervous systems with this fight, flight, freeze is we're starting to learn how to reintegrate some of that flow and identity that we had to freeze or lost during that time. And again, it could be over a big swath of time if there's micro healing micro traumas that are happening rather than, say, like one big event. As our bodies start to get safe and as we start to find our desire to reintegrate those icebergs, you're going to see some signs, and it's going to feel worse a little bit in certain ways. It's going to feel different because you've been doing it probably for some time in a different way. You've been holding the icebergs. And that can feel uncomfortable, of course, painful at times. It can feel like if it's painful, it must be wrong, right? And I'm not saying no pain, no gain, but it's just inevitable. Turning and looking at your own pain is part of the healing process. So I'm going to walk you through my top 5 signs that I know that I'm healing, or for my clients, I know that they're healing, even though they might not seem like signs that you're healing. Okay, so the top 5 signs. And at the end of this episode, I'm going to say my signature sign off, and I want to talk a little bit more about that because I think it's crucial to what I'm talking about today. So at the end of episodes, whether I'm teaching a class or here on the podcast, I say enjoy your prana or enjoy your yoga. And I want to talk about how that's deeply tied to this idea of thawing and of healing your nervous system. So the first sign, let's jump into it. The first sign that you are healing your nervous system, exhaustion. I mean, this is the big thing that people don't want to do it because they don't want to actually take a moment and sit down and realize how freaking exhausted you are. So you finally need to slow down. And if you don't, we know this. We know this. Everybody has expressed this. And if you don't, then your body's going to make you slow down. That's if you're in a system that's not working for you. Might know some people that are highly successful and they seem like they just keep going and going, but they are finding ways to do that. Maybe not all of them, but some of them are finding ways to fuel themselves that isn't compromising themselves, but is actually fulfilling themselves. That's, in my opinion, a lot of successful people that I'm following now, that's the difference. And that's what I'm finding. Yes, I am busy. Yes, I have a lot on my plate. I have children. I have a business. I have a partnership. I'm part of a spiritual community where I'm on the ministry panel, and we talk about that once a month. I know so many of my friends are on so much more, but how do I fuel that passion and support myself without going into exhaustion? And the more... if we haven't healed and we're not doing that process along the way, we typically are fueling ourselves with past ways that are harming ourselves. So you're going to feel tired. You might start needing a little more naps before you can start rerouting and understanding where you're going to go and how you're going to be fueled with work that you really believe in and you're passionate about. For a lot of people, this is the moment when our bodies just make us. Chronic fatigue is what I see a lot of. There's chronic fatigue. And I invite you, if you're feeling this type of fatigue, to really reclaim it. And it's not laziness. It's really an honest reaction of the body saying, we need to find a new way. Okay, so that's the first one. One of my teachers who I've interviewed here, Cindy Albee, really helped me with that. And she taught me how to help people as well. Really lean into the exhaustion. Okay, let's go there. So many people fear it because if I give into this exhaustion, I might not ever be able to get up. I promise that's not true. And if you keep going the way you are, that it might be true. You might not be able to get up. But we can find another way. But the first thing is to stop and rest for a moment. And be okay with the exhaustion. All right. Sign number 2. Crying and grief. Big cries, big grief, crying spells. It was... Swami Kripalu, who says, crying is the ultimate expression of yoga. So it feels like you might be crying for no reason or you don't quite understand. And especially with women and our hormones, allowing those hormones to let the tears come as well. Maybe you find yourself grieving over more universal things in big ways, and it's an outlet for grief to come. So we've started, that's one of the layers of the iceberg coming out and melting, is a chance for these emotions and our fluids to move. So it's not regressing. This is your body saying, it's safe enough now to cry when I feel moved to cry. And really allow yourself to do that. It's Ayurveda that says you don't want to suppress anything, any, bodily functions, sneezing, farting, crying, let that flow. And this particular one, when we're healing, this is a sign for our nervous system. The tears in Ayurveda too are the same material, dhatu. It's the same tissue as our nervous system, spinal fluid that's running through our nervous system. So it's that expression of your nervous system thawing out. The sign number 3. You're going to find yourself more sensitive and more irritable. And this is a hard one because people are like, I don't have as much stamina, or I don't have as much tolerance. I don't have as much, thick of a skin as I used to. But this is a good sign, actually. And a lot of women that I work with are like, whoa, I can't, seem to not be angry when I'm in this board meeting or when I'm in this XYZ situation at work or with my family. And I try to help embrace that. Okay, you're more sensitive to that comment. You're more sensitive to that action of your coworker, partner. That's okay. Let yourself be a little more sensitive and irritable because you are allowing, again, some maybe walls that were really, really, really thick to thin out a little bit so that you can experience more of your own being in relation to the world. So, of course, it's going to be like skin that's been covered for a long time. It gets a little more irritated by the sun or by the wind, by the elements. So be kind and just know that it's a sign, and there might be times where you want to cover it up or be more nourishing to those spots, those places, but also it's a sign that you are exposing more of yourself to the healing. And the fourth sign that you are is vivid dreams. And sometimes within either deep rest like yoga nidra or sleeping, there's shaking and there's a neurological kind of response to your moving and rerouting your nervous system. So it can feel like symbolic dreams. It could feel like nightmares, to be honest, that can come up. And you're shifting and processing your subconscious material. And it really is the nervous system resetting and processing the stress and trauma. And the tremors or shaking is the sign of vata, of nervous system, moving some things and stored energy around. So vivid dreams are one of your ways of starting to move material, thaw out. And as long as you're really well-resourced and not too flooded, you can see these as signs as integration. I've been really asking for dreams at nighttime and then processing those dreams in the morning if possible, if time. Now, the final sign, this one might be a little bit more left field for some people, boredom. You get bored a little bit more. What it feels like is like life suddenly is a little bit more flat in the areas that used to be really chaotic. But that chaos kept you excited and kept your energy entertained, your attention out of your body. And so it can feel really boring to go into the body. I don't have time for this. This is a waste of time. I'm so bored. I get that from my little ones all the time. Maybe there's something wrong. Nothing's happening. Oh gosh, that's a big one. Nothing's happening. That's okay. Let's just be here then. If your nervous system has been really addicted to intensity, chaos, drama, hustle, crisis, then it's going to start to feel like nothing happening and or stillness and calm is unfamiliar. And boredom can really be that sign that you don't need the chaos anymore. And it's a true ease that you're starting to find. Instead of rushing, notice if you're on that rush bus of just going, what would it feel like just to be regulated and enjoy? Okay, so what now? We have these 5 ways and signs. If they come up, just know that they're actually great signs, even though they seem like maybe things you don't want or negative things. There's things that I start to ask for. So if you recognize them, it's important to start to name them and be aware. Pause. You might place your hand on your heart, on your head, or on your belly, somewhere along your body, and just really witness that time. I notice the boredom, the heaviness, the flatness. I notice the grief. And that's a lot of somatic work, is noticing. And then it feels safe. It feels safe to be bored. It's okay. It feels safe to be irritated. That's okay. It feels safe to be in grief. It feels safe to have dreams. It feels safe to be curious about the dreams when I wake up. And it feels safe to be tired. In itself, it's not an unvaluable thing, tiredness or exhaustion. It's all about perspective. So it's not inherently wrong being exhausted. It really isn't. And what we're trying to shift is the propelling motion that's continuing exhaustion, not the exhaustion itself. The exhaustion itself is the symptom, the sign, and we invite it to speak to us. All right. So these are some signs and some ways to acknowledge and to practice noting and noticing. I want to say before we end here, like I said, I say enjoy your yoga, enjoy your prana when I sign off. When I say this, the reason, and I can see how it could trigger a lot of people, it's like, this is not fun. I'm not enjoying this, or I'm not enjoying my life right now, Holly. It's not fun. Enjoyment is not fun necessarily. Enjoyment means that there's going to be a base level of joy and bliss and gratitude for this life. And so I say it so that whatever comes, exhaustion, grief, all of this that we're processing, the crying, the boredom, the mundaneness of being in a body, all of this, may we have this baseline of enjoyment and gratitude for it. And I can be in grief and still be connected to that. I could be in a really exhausting day after taking care of the kids and trying to do business admin and some of the things that I don't like about having a business. Doing that, one of my business mentors and groups say, like, chewing glass, going through that pain that is really exhausting. And then at the end of the day or along the way, I have this tethering to joy, to be me, to be Holly, to be in this life, to have my girls and to have the opportunity to express myself through business. So with that in mind, I hope that these 5 signs help you. If you think it might help someone else, please share and comment on which ones might help you the most, or maybe one that you're grappling with the most. And if you have more questions, please, I want to have that conversation with you. Travel well and enjoy your prana. Enjoy your life.